Hello everyone, welcome back to more chess, playing 1510 as white against Nimagolami? Beats me. Not sure how to pronounce any of that. Okay, against this I usually just take more center, and then I think they go here. No. Okay. Well, let's get a knight out to defend that, I guess. Are they prepping this for some reason? They could have played that anyway. But now, if they play it and I take, they could retake with and get a pawn more central, I guess. I don't think they want to play this. This is really opening up the king side. Let's just develop a piece and see what happens. Protect against this, because I thought they would probably want to put a bishop there. Okay. There is like this idea. Attacking the queen? I think it more or less forces knight here, right? And then if I can bother that knight, I'll be very happy. I don't have any good ways to bother him, though. Try to get the queen involved somehow. I don't know. I think they want to get the knight here. And so oh, actually they could still block this way because the bishop's guarding that. Okay, I don't know if this is really so great. It just invites them to develop the knight and then later kick me with the pawn move. Let's just develop the other knight. Kind of stunts the c-pawn a bit. He might prefer to advance a bit more. Let's just develop this bishop to a fairly innocuous square. Defending a weakish pawn seems okay. I could castle and then get a piece here, or a pawn here. I could just put the pawn there now, actually. This is already a weakness in black's position that I would like to do something with. But then I think they could maybe push this pawn and... yeah. I still like the idea of this move, but it's not really quite there, I don't think. Then we might want to preserve this as a threat so that they have the queen, like, tied down to defending this pawn. I don't know, they can always just push the pawn, right? So it doesn't seem that great. Let's get the knight moving. There don't seem to be any tactics over here, really. Yeah, I mean, my pawn is defended just fine, but I also said I want to clamp down on C, no, F6. But I don't know, they have these pawns that could break that down. I want more pawn support before I go in for that, I think. Or maybe even just rook support, something. Let's get castled. This is defended, so it's fine. Defended twice. I still don't like... yeah, I can't believe it. I talked. This came up before. Like my computer was like rendering this arrow movement slowly in a previous video, and it was because like the YouTube upload dialog was still up, and I thought it was because it was like only halfway up and it had stuck in some weird, partially transparent state where it was somehow using a lot of GPU to render a bunch of like a single non-moving image. But yeah, just having the YouTube dialog upload up saying you're uploading a video or you just uploaded the video or whatever slows down how fast Lichess can render. Like, are you kidding me? It's a static image, Chrome. I don't know if I should blame Chrome or YouTube or what, but like, not static image, but like the page is not changing. I don't know how it can be consuming all that CPU. But anyway, I closed it and now everything's fine again. So I'm trying to like not yet develop this bishop because any of these three squares, I think, could be a good place to put the bishop. And I think I can continue to delay with rook e1 next move. I don't know. They're probably going to try to pile up on my e-pawn somehow. But right now it's defended twice, attacked once, so they've got some work to do if that's the plan. Piling up on the d-pawn is easier. It's attacked once, defended once. But I think at that point I could then, if they like tried to do that, I could then push here, taking away one of the attackers. I don't know. Probably that would be dumb if they tried this, because now the knight is overloaded, maybe. And also I don't want to let them take this and isolate my e-pawn. Yeah. This makes sense, I think. So first of all, is this any good? No, right? Well, they can't take here, so I would grab it. I guess here, and then they get this pawn. Yeah, so that's no good. This push? Could be okay. Takes, takes, and the pawn is fine, and I have this opening, right? And if instead of pushing, they, let's say, dive in with the knight, that's fine. Yeah. That's not how I expected these pawns to develop, but I think it seems reasonable. I don't know, maybe knight here, threatening this bishop. I wouldn't mind. This is not such a great bishop. If they want to spend some time making me trade, I'm okay with that, I guess. Give me something like this, maybe. Actually, what about this? Drops the pawn if they develop the knight. So probably, yeah. I mean, developing the knight attacks this pawn a second time is, or actually several. It adds two attackers, right? The knight and the bishop. So it's now attacked 3 times, defended only twice. It becomes vulnerable. So I probably have to do something with it, like capture. Which I don't know. I don't like how that's turning out. Oh, this. I think it's fine. I think I take their knight. Right? Takes here. Then what? Takes? Takes would be no good because of check, take the queen, which is like, I don't know, it's not horrible, but I think it would be good for me. Yeah, let's take the knight. And then this. I guess I can take this way though, right? Yeah, that's true. So we still have this idea. Although, what about here? That actually seems really cool. Now that I'm castled and I've gotten rid of this knight, I can start trying to provide support for e5 by playing f4, supported by the rook and the bishop. This is fine. I don't really care about ruining my structure a little over here. I'm focused on the king side. And the center a little bit, I guess. So I think we can put here. Do I want to do that? It reopens the bishop to this is the main reason that I like it. But it doesn't let me support this square, which is where I kind of want to be to attack here. So I could just play this, but it drops the pawn, so not great, right? I guess they're threatening like this, trading a piece for 2 pawns doesn't seem that great to me. Suppose I went in for this. Like it's attacking a bunch of their kingside pawns, and I could just like take one of them to mess up some structure, I guess, like this one. Yeah, I think that's an idea. And if they take it themselves, I guess we take here and we're still in good shape. No, this pawn's in trouble. I see. Okay, so this doesn't work yet. And if this push, we're dropping the pawn. So we got to get this bishop out of the way. Not sure where I want him. I mean, I guess this? It's a bit messy. Also, it relaxes control over this square, which I don't like. We could threaten the knight immediately here, but yeah, I guess that's fine. It gives my rook some room to breathe, and it means that a bishop arriving here someday. Oh, it can't. It's the same bishop, you idiot. Okay. Um. So they're now committed to the king side, which is exciting. I kind of like the idea of bringing the queen over to provide more support for this. But I do need one of the supporters to be a pawn, is the problem. Because they have 2 defenders that are pawns. Can't draw arrows, but you know what I mean. What about some rook lift? Just going straight for this. Bring the queen in. Maybe keep drawing it like this, and a rook here. Maybe bring the queen in first. That's a more multi-purpose move, I think. I don't know. I guess she can just be kicked, but that's fine. So I want to put her here anyway. Maybe I'm willing to just give up the d pawn if. Okay, I guess I just did give up the d pawn, huh? That's true. Um, I think I don't have to retake though. And just queen here, threatening the knight, and this. And also getting into position for a kingside attack. I wonder actually if I could have just played this pawn move. This guy's pinned, and I would be threatening to take it. Now I've just dropped the pin, which is a bit unpleasant. Well, release the pin. Dropped usually means like dropping a piece or something. I don't know exactly what it would mean to drop a pin. Um, if here now though, I don't know. I think they still don't want to take. It really opens the king up. You're playing with fire over there, I think. I don't know that I need this bishop. Like here. I don't know. The problem is they can retake with the knight and attack the queen. This is an interesting idea. Just keep marching. And we're obviously threatening this. What do they do about that? Knight here, maybe? I wouldn't mind throwing a rook into that fire. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Let's just keep attacking. What are you doing about this pawn? This is certainly the most aggressive I've been, ever. Just I don't know. This just seems like there's got to be something big going on over here. I'm throwing away pawns, I'm throwing away pieces, but it seems like it should be working. Okay. What is your answer to this? Queen sack, maybe. Then you're not dead. But I don't think I need to rush, right? I could take this just in like as a kind of insurance policy. Is there a checkmate? Check. Not really, right? Just takes and the rook can't get there. But this... No moves with any of these pieces save the game. Advancing the pawn does nothing. They have to take with the queen here, and then I get this. And the queen is now defending that pawn. Yeah, this looks good. There's not any meaningful checks they can give. They can take the rook, but they lose the game. And we still have a monster queen, obviously, as well as a monster rook. I don't know. I should probably drop back with them at this point. It's hard for them to coordinate by themselves against this pawn formation. So just drop back here to stop this promotion, maybe. Or maybe rook here. What was my opponent's last move? They really took my bishop, huh? Didn't see this checkmate coming. I feel like I've been screaming it the whole last, like, 5 moves. But okay. Does it keep your... It doesn't keep pre-moves. I know drawing arrows and clicking, but apparently also navigating to viewing history also cancels pre-moves. There's really not much to think about here. There's literally only one move that does not lead to mate in 1. Right? And I assume they're going to take here. Then I have this. And I guess they'll try to improve a rook maybe, but I don't think I care that much about it. Maybe they'll try to get here and coordinate with the bishop. Okay, so I guess what we do is we back up with the queen instead, guarding this square and also threatening to take the pawn. And threatening this pawn as well. I've gotten what I needed to from this attack, i.e. I won the queen, and they deflected checkmate, but now I just need to solidify. I can't actually take the pawn anytime soon while there's a bishop guarding it, I guess. That's true. But I think rook here kind of forces bishop there, and then I get this, which is, you know, giving up the exchange, but winning the pawn and opening up their king. Seems good enough. I guess I could defend it that way. instead of running away. What about this? Check. Doesn't really do anything, I don't think. It's not check, but it's threatening checks. Oh, it would have, right, sorry. This would have been check, but king here, queen here, king here. We don't quite have the finishing blow. All right, get a rook off, please. This is the pivot square the rook wants. Well, he would love this. I can defend it here, but then rook here. What about this queen move? Take a pawn. The thing to be afraid of would be this, but I can just dodge. I think it's fine. They're probably going to attack this pawn next. No. Let's get my bishop back to life. Now this rook is no threat. He can't go anywhere along the only open file. All right, the king and queen are guarding the whole thing. I wanted to play the bishop here. Well, no. I mean, queen here. I wanted to get the bishop like this, maybe, but it's a little hard. Queen here, check. Suppose rook blocks. I guess I don't really have any good answers. What about this? Attacking a pawn. The rook has to back up, which would be a nice advancement for me. Just keep him busy defending. If I can just keep him passively defending these two pawns, I'll be pretty happy, I think. It'll give me scope to develop the bishop. To here, for example. Attacking him. So I don't think you can hang on to this pawn. And this intersection square is obviously important. Oh, that's an approach to hang on, I guess. Cute. Check. Blocks. Here? Doesn't help. It's still just attacking the same pawn. But queen here, I guess, is attacking a few things. I need to do something with my pawns. I just don't know what. Ugh. Can I just do this? Attacks both pawns. You can't easily defend them both. Yeah, you can't, in fact. But it gives the rook some more scope. I think it would be okay. And if I can start tearing these guys apart, I'll be a lot happier. I could climb up here. I think should be fine. Right, my bishop can get involved, maybe. I think I can just take this. I could have taken that one, but this guy was threatening to maybe do something someday. Whereas the A-pawn is far away from any progress. You know what I'd like to do is pin the rook to the king. With, moves like this. Yeah, this seems good. I think I can play bishop here. It should be all right. I don't know why bother. Like, why go into this pin? Yeah, I don't like that. Let's just get out of here. And now we're threatening this immediately. And with the rook declawed, I don't think my opponent has any counterplay at all. So we just need to get rid of this. What if I traded here? Would I be happy with that? Probably not, right? Let's just get behind the pawns. Okay, they're getting their king onto a light square. That seems good for them. I think I can go back to this idea. I probably should have just gone here, actually. That would be better. Yeah, we're not threatening either of these pieces, really. I should have gone here so I could attack this pawn as well. It's protected. I guess it would be fine for them. I just don't really know what I'm doing here. I need to get my bishop somewhere better. Maybe make an outpost for him here? This is a serious threat, I guess. Right, obviously, this battery. I think they just move the king, though, and then... Although, where do you move him? I don't know. Because moving the queen defends the pawn. The king, rather, defends the pawn a second time. Or even if it's only defended once by a rook, that's probably good enough. I still like playing g3 at some point. Also a4. Just clamp down on these pawns a bit. Probably a4 first. I don't know, if they start doing stuff like this and this, it might get a little awkward. Maybe. No, it's probably fine. I don't think I need to play a4. G3 would be more productive, I think. Just to give my bishop somewhere safe to hang out. And a pivot square for getting to these guys, maybe. Ah, that's why you want to play this. To fix this pawn in place. So that he's on a dark square and the bishop can get behind. Opponent's really thinking this one over. I'm surprised that this is like the most threatening position they've seen. Am I missing some threat that I have? Like, this doesn't seem that hard to deal with. Ah, no, that was the wrong move. They should resign pretty shortly. Now the rook's pinned and we can trade it for the bishop no matter what they do. We may be able to just win it outright depending on their next move, but I'm perfectly happy to just trade it. I guess I could have taken here with check and then taken this. That would have been better, huh? But this is fine too. Okay, we got him. So let's do a little analysis before we ask the computer. Oh, the beginning of the game was so long ago, I've forgotten all about it. I don't really like their G3. I'm sure it's like fine. I assume it's some well understood opening. I just don't know it, and it seems questionable. But I'm sure if you studied it, it's fine. How about this bishop move? It seems okay. Maybe knight c3 would be better, but you know, we're gonna play that next, and it should be fine. This pawn move, I think, is one of the most exciting moves of the game. Well, that's not true. We had some pretty cool stuff with the kingside attack, but I think the exciting plays that I made there were like right, and this one I'm not so sure about. So pawn here, and I think I'm right that they don't want to take, exposing this, right? So they move the knight somewhere else. I thought here. Is maybe their best approach. Threatening to win this bishop, but it's not such a great bishop. And I think I had decided I would let them have it. And I still don't know what I'm doing with my pawns, though, if knight here. Like, I don't really want to take. I've invested a lot in this pawn. I want to get something out of it, not just trade for this crummy pawn. I want to trade for the crummy pawn and open a file, right? That's what this move was about, opening the e-file. And it doesn't work if I take right now. Maybe I can add some more support at some point, like this. I don't know. I feel like this move might just be an illusion. Like, yeah, it's threatening to open up this file, but not really. They can just not take. Like, obviously, first they move the knight. And I feel like moving it here was wrong because it let me open up the F file. And get some value out of the F file. But after knight here, what am I really accomplishing? with my pawn move. Nothing much, I think. I just give myself a liability to babysit. Yeah, right. That's the problem, is that now this, right? Attacked 3 times, defended twice. I actually do have to trade it. So after knight here, I think I have to play this, which gives them something to play with, probably, rather than me. I don't think they want to take this way. The f-pawn is kind of important. So I think this pawn move was a mistake. And the other way to defend everything would have been this pawn move, e5. Which, does it defend everything? Yeah. This is attacked only once now and defended once as well. And this pawn is attacked twice but defended twice, so it's fine. You have to be a little careful with how you recapture, but I think it's okay. And it attacks f6, the square that I was saying for a while that I wanted to get to. But then they can just like trade some stuff off, right? No, they can't. They'd be down material after that exchange. I was just worried that I wouldn't be able to support it indefinitely. This pawn doesn't have enough support to provide support for the e-pawn. And they can make some pawn push, and now what am I going to do? Yeah. So I don't know, maybe no pawn move? Maybe just this immediately? But the rook ended up being very useful on the f-file, so... maybe I shouldn't be moving it. Maybe I should just develop a bishop? No, this pawn is under attack. Well, okay, I can put it here. Yeah, maybe that's better. Maybe neither pawn move, just retain the duo and play pawn, bishop e3. Okay. I think after they played the knight there, I absolutely trade it and shove the f-pawn. I think that's fine. I think it's great. This bishop move! I don't know about that. I don't know, it ended up being a useful threat, I think. X-raying the rook, by the way. And so that's why I brought the queen over. So what would I do instead of that? The bishop a3. I think I looked at both of these pawn moves and I found neither of them very good. This one is exciting, but this pawn is overloaded. I end up losing the d pawn. We talked about this in the game. And maybe that's okay. Maybe it's okay to lose the d pawn. I don't know, they haven't yet committed to kingside castles, right? So I don't think I should be so aggressive yet. So I think this move is all right, but probably Stockfish is going to say some pawn move is better. Or also moving the bishop out of the way so that the queen defends this. Because right now they are threatening to win a pawn here. But to do so, they have to open up the e-file where their king is on. And the knight would become a burden in that case. So I think that they shouldn't do that. Now that they've castled, they are threatening this. But I'm also threatening lots of stuff, so I'm like, fine, have it. I don't know, I think this is okay. Maybe bishop here could be another possibility instead of bishop c4 instead of bishop a3. Maybe. I think this queen move is clearly right. Threatening a lot of stuff. Threatening most of all this, but eventually a rook lift, perhaps. This pawn move is exciting. This is when things start to get real, I think. Um, takes seems very. Oh right, I forgot. This move wasn't necessarily correct. I forgot about the use this idea that I noticed the move afterward. What if I do push the pawn while this guy's pinned? I don't know how good that is. Well, it makes it easier to secure to guarantee I can get f6 in, right? Because they don't want to trade the knight, I'm quite certain. And even if they do, I get another pawn there. I mean, f5, d takes e4. At that point, I think I do recapture with the bishop. Because it's a useful... Oh, wait, no. I just lose the bishop if I do that. So d takes e4 is a real threat. And I can't, I think, just do some quiet move here. It's not a quiet move. It's a real threat, but here, here. I don't know. I don't think the queen is arriving fast enough to justify just throwing away my entire queen side to a one pawn. That was a pretty cool pawn, though, right? He took two pawns and a bishop, and then another pawn. Eventually, he just womp, 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 4 diagonal moves in a row. There were other moves in between, but for that pawn, he made 5 moves that game. 1 modest step forward, and then 4 captures. Good work, buddy. Anyway, so I think this queen move threatens something a bit more serious. I don't know. I mean, I guess I was willing to give up the bishop anyway in this line, so why didn't I give it up sooner? Ah, because the queen isn't defending? No, that's not right. Right? Because, like, if I play this pawn move now, there's sort of similar issues. And it is defended by the rook, so I can still push it. But I think it's better to insert this queen move first. This pawn isn't pinned after I move it, but it still doesn't want to capture. And this way I get the in-betweener of, like, I want to get the queen onto the h-file. And at this moment, I can do so with tempo because I'm attacking here. Whereas I might not have that tempo if I make 2 pawn moves first. So, okay. Yeah, and then this rook sack, oh man, it was so exciting. Just like, take my pawns, take my bishop, take my rook. And they were like, no thank you. There was probably some way to get this attack going and lose less material, but I think the attack is so clearly great that it's okay. And now I sacked the same rook a second time because they didn't take it the first time, to simplify. And okay, the conversion at this point was very messy, but I don't think I ever gave up the win. All right, let's see what Stockfish thinks. Okay, good. Don't seem to have ever given up the win once I got hugely ahead. One blunder here, I suppose. Queen h4. Interesting. So it hates that. That gives up most of my advantage. It says pawn here, which seems very weird to me. I mean, it's clamping down on f6, but what does it think of this? Losing, or well, giving up my advantage. Oh, no? Hmm? Hmm? It thinks it's okay. Well, no, it thinks it's bad, but not as bad as what I played. Huh. So I guess maybe there's some way to deflect this attack without spending quite so much material, and for that reason it says don't let this pawn capture you and attack the bishop. Okay. It also provides more long-term support for a pawn here, I guess, is the idea. And it's saying you got to get rid of that queen. Oh, but we can take en passant. How interesting. And now we get this pawn push in anyway. I guess queen here soon to attack the knight. And the rook x-raying the knight maybe would be a better way of putting it. But I don't know, then rook here? I don't know. Okay. So, but as for the opening, yeah, it doesn't like this move. Okay, so I guessed maybe it was okay. It says knight f3 and knight c3 are the most popular moves. Apparently knight c3 wins a bit more often, but knight c3 and bishop d3 both fine, but it prefers the knight move a bit. Castles, huh? Interesting. I mean, I was thinking about castling, but it seems like I should get out a knight. I guess, you know, this is a nice file to have a rook on, maybe. I don't know, I thought I just wanted more pieces out there. What does Stockfish think? It does like castles. They're close. Hmm. No, it doesn't like castles. They're all pretty close, these moves here. Maybe castles is also like the fourth best line or something. I don't know. H4? That was not on my radar at all. Oh, but look at that. It provides an outpost for this bishop. Or, well, not an outpost, but at least some support. Huh. Threatens to open up this file to the rook, maybe? Interesting. So after all this thought, it says actually you were right. Knight c3 is best. Fine. And what did it like here? Well, I mean, d5 and bishop g5 were kind of my top moves. I'm glad they're... Well, that's not true. I was thinking about this, but it never seemed to quite work out. So I guess these were my top two moves. Which are, you know, Stockfish is considering. But, apparently thinks bishop g5 is slightly better. I don't quite see it, but sure. And what about, yeah, they... Really? So it says 95 is best. I thought this. Just get out of the way with the bishop? You don't have to defend this anymore. Add more support there. I see. And now what's the knight doing? He's kind of trapped, right? He can't get back home anymore. I see. So the point is that this knight is becoming bad because if he moves forward, he won't be able to like go anywhere. The pawn is shutting off his escape route, and so it's saying you better just trade him off now while you can. I see. And indeed, taking is right. Likes a4. Okay, more thinking. F4 emerges victorious. No? More thinking? I don't know. It's all like there are a couple reasonable moves, and F4 is one of them. Apparently queen here? I don't quite get that. It defends this pawn, I guess, but I don't know. I like F4. Now it says C4. Oh, yeah, this is... That's true. I didn't notice that they were piling up on this. A second pawn would be a great asset here. Because now there's none of this nonsense to worry about. Sure. Okay, that's definitely a mistake. Yeah, I agree that castling looks bad. I have enough stuff to get to the king side. Now, it doesn't like this, huh? Yeah, again, it says support the pawn first. This was the big blunder which we looked at. That the opponent was not prepared to refute it. I guess, like, I missed the idea that they can play f6 themselves. I thought I was just marching. If they do play f6, I don't know. Don't I want to take this, maybe? No, this is bad because the knight gets here. Yeah, it's more important to maintain this pawn chain, I guess. Well, this isolated pawn feels like a liability, but apparently they can't quite take it. I don't know, I would go here. Well, why though, right? I can't get two major pieces there. You could try a really aggressive approach like this, but yeah, they can just tell you to go away. Okay, but they didn't find f6, and now it's really game over. Yeah, it says you must sack the rook. Look at that. I'm so pleased. So remember, I made this move, and I was like, what if knight here? I'm happy to throw a rook into that fire, I believe is what I said. And that's a good thing that I had that planned, because any other move is game losing. So I saw this and was like, okay, yep, go for it. And it says you gotta run away with the king. And, huh. What exactly does that improve? Now if... Ah, it says I could actually back up with the rook now and not have to sacrifice it. But... Like, what do they have against this? Ah, the rook defends. I see. So I missed this. I just thought that there was no way for the rook to get over here. I didn't really consider the opponent making a defensive king move to allow the rook to defend. And if they do that, then I should see, okay, the attack is not winning a checkmate immediately, so I might as well rescue the rook. I'm curious why here instead of here? Oh, because the pawn would take it, you dummy. I was like, well, after the pawn takes the bishop, we would like to recapture, wouldn't we? Yeah, but that's not what would happen. Really? What a weird move. G5? Why don't I just take this? I mean, they get this rook move with tempo, I guess. And obviously, here I'm threatening this. So they have to play rook here anyway. And then I guess I extricate the rook and attack the pawn. But now queen here? So maybe I don't. Maybe I back up more. Yeah, apparently this is like completely shutting things down, which I did not predict. So here, this gets you out. I don't know why. Because now the bishop is threatening to coordinate as well. I see. That's why you want to sack the rook while picking up the pawn. What a wild outcome things could have had if my opponent had defended the king instead of grabbing a bishop. I don't know why, by the way, but whenever Stockfish sees that like the best it can do is mate in one, either because that's the best move or the second best move or whatever, it always picks a pawn move as like, this bishop move is just as good, right? But it never suggests that. I think it's like, well, it's mate in one, but you're closer to promoting. Maybe they'll miss it. I guess. Interesting. It says just play c3, c4, huh? I don't quite understand why c4 is so great in all these moves. It stops, okay, it stops d5, I guess. Oh, I didn't see that. Queen here pinning the pawn so that the bishop can't, so that if we take the bishop, it can't be recaptured. But we're now not threatening to attack the pawn anymore. But I can, now I can bring a rook over once they get off the diagonal, I guess. If they back up to here. I guess it's saying don't worry about that pawn. Just go for some rook lift over here. Sure, I guess. Anyway, that all didn't happen. I just sacked the rook and it's fine. And this is kind of interesting that this rook sack improves its evaluation by like 2 full points. I guess that's sort of the computer's way of saying that's a good move that I didn't consider. And let's look at the depths here. I know we're like analyzing this for hours, but I'm curious about what's going on here. But at depth 22, it gets to like 11.6 here, which is pretty good. And back here at depth 23, it says this is only 8.6. Okay, so it needed a little bit more time to think, and then it says, actually, you should sack the rook here. It apparently needs to get quite deep before this move appears good, but to me, this just seems like, I don't know. This is the kind of thing where I'm like, obviously the computer doesn't like this move. It's giving up material for like a medium-sized gain. The main gain is simplicity, I think, as a human. Right? I get rid of this piece that's guarding the pawn. I get rid of the pawn that's their main threat, and the game is just simpler for me, even if I'm not necessarily ahead by more. I'm less likely to make a mistake, and that's not something the computer worries about. But apparently, this move is actually good, even if you're not planning to make a mistake. And I was surprised to see that my opponent, not only did my opponent trade rooks, but the computer would have done the same. Oh, actually, no. It says don't take this pawn. Wow. Okay. So I had this idea, but I didn't think it was going to pay off. I just wanted to collect this pawn while I can, but I guess I can always do it with a rook anyway. Ah, that's one reason it keeps telling me to push c4, is it opens up this. So that the bishop can coordinate with the queen. I see. Wait, why is this 7.9? I guess I need to let it look a little bit deeper and it'll suddenly go back to plus 30. Oh, maiden 12. Okay. So yeah, getting the queen here was a worthwhile goal. I guess this pawn made me so nervous. I just wanted to pick it up. Um, and I was winning by enough. Okay. Nothing too eventful happened here. I missed some forced checkmate in 8, but that's fine. Yeah, and indeed, taking here would have been better. I noticed that shortly after, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Okay, that's all for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.